Hey, Nanny.
Yes?
What are you doing lately? What are you watching?
Oh, nothing special. Just like the greatest show ever conceived by man! Except that was a lie, because it was actually conceived by a woman! Non-binary woman! Who's also bisexual!
That sounds very exciting. What is it?
It is extremely exciting. I'm talking about Steven Universe, of course!
Oh boy! Let's make a video series where you tell me all about that.
You mean a video series where I tell you all about shit that you don't know and that I know way too much about and explain it in such unnecessarily intricate detail that nothing of it will stick and you will not remember any of it and end up watching the show anyway?
Oh, Nanny, you know me so well.
Well then, let's go! This is Nanny Explains Steven Universe to someone who's never watched Steven Universe.
That's me.
So what's going to happen now is I'm going to tell Triple all about the show in the way that I would tell it as opposed to how the show tells it. So I'll begin chronologically at the beginning of the timeline and walk through that to where the show currently is. And of course I won't do every single episode, but I'll basically explain the show in a way that doesn't make it sound like a kid's show at all, because when you get down to it, it's not.
Yeah, it really isn't. I mean, even I know that, and I've only watched like 5 episodes.
So let's begin. Triple, what do you know about Steven Universe?
I know there's a cat episode, and I know there's like there are 3 gems, I think, and then Steven, who is also secretly a gem or something, and Garnet, Amethyst, and Pearl hang out with Steven and figure stuff out about crystal gems, and Steven learns how to bake crystal gem. Also, every single fan loves Peridot and Lapis Lazuli and Jasper. That's about it.
Alright, then let's get right down to it. So, 6,000 years before present day, Earth was just starting to develop its first human civilizations. All across the universe, in a different galaxy, there was a completely different civilization, known as the Gem Empire. The Gems are a race of alien beings that don't reproduce sexually. They all look very feminine by our standards, but they only have one gender. What they, however, do have are different castes of gem types. So a gem is basically a gemstone, a mineral that has been infused with life force and is able to create a hard light construct around its core gem body in order to move around and basically do all the same things that organic life would do. And also some more things, because hard light constructs, they work with, like, you know, like the stuff in Portal that you can walk on.
Yeah.
Yep. At the top of the hierarchy of this empire are the 4 most powerful gems, known as the diamonds, which are White Diamond, who's like the great matriarch of all gem kind, Blue Diamond and Yellow Diamond, who are in charge of expanding the empire, and...
I have a question.
Yes?
Is the hierarchy based on gem monetary value?
No, actually not, because hilariously enough, rubies are considered common foot soldiers and bodyguards, while sapphires, who are actually more common in real life, are considered like extremely valuable and rare aristocrats. So no, it's not based on that, which is hilarious.
Is there any common reason for how they are ranked?
Yes, because different gem types have different abilities, different natural abilities. Like, every individual has their own personality. It's not like they are a hive mind. But depending on gem types, you have different abilities. For example, quartz gems are created with a lot of physical strength and a natural mastery of martial arts or all sorts of weapons, which makes them ideal soldiers, and they are usually like... the leaders of foot troops or generals or anything like that. Or Nephrites are very good at navigating, that's why they usually are the ones leading the ships. As I've told you before, Paradots are naturally inclined to mathematics, so they usually do engineering, and they also have like extremely good memories, so they are used for all tasks that require a lot of precision and a lot of very fast thinking. But never anything else than that. And then there's the pearls, who are at the very bottom of the hierarchy, and pearls are basically just handmaidens. They have to do anything that their owner tells them without ever being able to argue. So it's like this sort of caste system. Everybody is ranked but based on what their natural abilities are. But if anybody falls out of the mold, which does happen because gem creation is not an exact process, then they are usually ostracized from the community.
Will we get to how gems are created at some point?
Well, yes, that's what I'm going to tell you. Basically, what happens is a gem is created when a regular gemstone is like the material of a regular gemstone is incubated in any sort of soil that contains a lot of nutrients and energy. And what basically happens is that the gemstone absorbs enough nutrients and energy to last for several millennia, if not even more. But what this leaves behind is like it turns the soil where the gem was incubated into nothing but dust and ashes. So basically what happens is when the gems expand their empire and incubate new gems in the new colonies, they leave behind nothing but scorched earth. And what exactly happened was, as I was saying, there are 4 gems at the top of the hierarchy who act as the empresses. Blue Diamond and Yellow Diamond are in charge of expanding the empire, and White Diamond is just the head honcho of everything ever. The 4th of them was not in charge of anything. She was pretty much the princess who was just around to look pretty and wave at everyone. And that was Pink Diamond. And the thing is, Pink Diamond was always a very free-spirited and very impulsive personality. So eventually she got very fed up with always being ignored by her sisters who were administrating, and started complaining and wailing until they finally caved in and decided, we're giving you an administrative position as well. And she ended up choosing a little-known planet called Earth as her first colony. What happened is, she, of course, being the impulsive and high-spirited person that she was, Pink Diamond was incredibly unhappy just administrating and doing desk work all day, while her actual foot troops and her actual subjects were doing all the physical stuff down on Earth. What also contributed to her loneliness and to her boredom was the fact that her handmaiden, a pearl that was given to her as a present from her sisters, was not really allowed to voice her mind or anything, and was not really allowed to even have intelligent conversation with her mistress. So, eventually, however, Pink Diamond manages to speak so much with her pearl that her pearl actually ends up slipping up with an actual idea that was of her own. Basically, what Pearl does is she says, well, you could have fun if you went down there and disguised yourself as a normal quartz foot soldier and play with all the other gems. Nobody would ever know that you left your post, and you would be having fun. So what Pink Diamond did was she disguised herself as a quartz gem, pretending to be a new type of quartz that she invented, a rose quartz, while playing on Earth. However, while she spent her time on Earth undercover, trying to just relax and have a good time, she realized how much scorched Earth and destruction, gem production left behind on the planet. And what's even more, she started falling in love with the natural plants and animals, and especially the humans on the planet, and was terrified of the idea of this just all going away and ceasing to exist. So Pink Diamond tried to reason with her sisters to turn Earth into a wildlife preserve. Her sister thought she was just being cowardly or was scared of the responsibility, and instead did other things like removing responsibilities from her, or creating mini wildlife preserves on space stations far away, where they kidnapped some humans and brought them there just to calm their sister and shut her up. And of course, Pink Diamond was not happy with that. And eventually she just decided, my sisters are never going to listen to me. I need to scare them away from this planet. So she ended up inciting a rebellion among her own subjects, just to scare her sisters off the planet. She thought, a civil war is gonna solve the problem, because when has that ever not worked?
It hasn't ever worked.
So she goes around preaching to all these gems about how cool it is to be an individual. She also gets a growing fascination with the concept of gems just not fitting into the caste system, but inventing themselves, like growing up and changing in the ways like humans do. She's especially inspired when she sees Sapphire, who's an aristocratic seer gem, who ends up in an affair with her bodyguard, a ruby. And she's extremely fascinated when the two of them end up accidentally fusing. And this needs explanation. Gems are able to fuse with each other, like you see it in anime. But for gems, this is actually like extremely intimate because they end up intertangling their entire mind. And it's actually looked down upon on Homeworld to use fusion for anything other than to increase battle strength, because it's just so you're getting so close and so intimate to somebody that it's kind of seen as disgusting to do that. And these two,
So,
yeah.
is it like forbidden to have emotions? Like that's kind of what it sounds like. You're not supposed to be happy. You're supposed to expand the empire and
it's very
fight for
Spartan.
the homeland.
It's not that it's forbidden to be happy, but it's very Spartan. Like it's very, you can really compare the Homeworld to Sparta in that way.
Okay, so it's all for expanding the
Greater empire, yes.
Yeah, okay. Also, is this Pearl the same Pearl that we see in the show?
Yes, Pink Diamond's Pearl is our Crystal Gem Pearl. That's what
Okay.
I also should explain. Like, it's often confused what the difference between a gem and a crystal gem is. And the thing is, crystal gem is just a title, a group name. This is what the rebellion called themselves.
Okay, so the crystal gems are like parts of the rebellion that.
Yeah.
The
The thing is, like, in the gem language, the Milky Way is called the crystal system. So the crystal gems are like the gems who have chosen to live in the crystal system.
I see.
So like they're like the Milky Way gems, but that doesn't sound as cool, so... Basically what happens is Pink Diamond forms the crystal gems, and she gets really inspired by seeing these two forbidden lovers who decide to live together as a fusion because they love each other so much, and they would be executed for it back on Homeworld because it's just a forbidden love. Pink Diamond decides, well, I'm going to make this planet a place where everybody can be a hippie. I'm going to create a hippie planet where everybody can do what the hell they want, and all I have to do to make this happen is get everyone who's on board with me, and scare my sisters off this planet. It's going to be so easy, I just need to be as scary as possible. Naturally, it's not that easy, because her sisters just keep fighting back, keep being like, no matter how many times she tells them, "Oh, no, you should go. They are so dangerous. We have to leave this colony once for all." Her sisters are just like, bitch, please. And send more troops. So eventually, Pink Diamond gets utterly convinced that her sisters don't care about her at all. Because she's like a moody teenager. Like, gems don't age, but her demeanor, like, she was created to be like a princess, so she's always like a moody teenager. So eventually, she gets this fed up and decides, well, I know one way to solve this once and for all. Let's fake my own assassination. Because if I prove that the rebellion is strong enough to kill me, then clearly it is strong enough to kill my sisters, and that will scare them enough to leave the planet alone forever. Yeah, so she conspires with her Pearl and fakes her own assassination so she can live as Rose Quartz forever and just, like, pretend she's dead. It does not work as expected, because of course her sisters did care about her. And of course her sisters don't just leave. They drop a fucking nuke from space.
Huh.
They nuke the planet with a weapon that is supposed to destroy all gems on the planet. That's not what happens. What does happen is all gems on the planet go insane and turn into Madoka Magica-esque monsters.
Oh, interesting.
Yes. The only ones who are spared are either the ones who are already imprisoned somewhere else, like they are protected because their physical forms aren't active at the time, And the ones that Pink, who now goes by the name of Rose Quartz, manages to shield behind her shield because she's powerful enough to ward off the beam of the weapon. But yeah, by the end of it, they're standing on a scorched earth battlefield with everybody they love having gone insane and turned into unreasonable eldritch abominations. And it's only Rose, Pearl, and Garnet, who is like the fusion of the ruby and the sapphire, who are spared. What I should also mention is that at this point, Pearl is the only one who knows of Rose's true identity. And Rose also placed, basically, she... You know how I said that Pearls always have to listen to their master no matter what? Rose placed an order on her to make sure that Pearl is physically incapable of ever telling anyone who she used to be.
Okay, so like their orders,
absolutely.
just it's not even by choice. It's like you can't.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
So Pearl is incapable of telling anyone, and Garnet, who hates the diamond for wanting to kill both of them just for being in love, doesn't know that Rose is actually a diamond. But they live on Earth now, and they decide, well, this is our home now. We only have the 3 of us, or 4 of us if you count Garnet as 2 people. Let's make the best of it, and let's try to clean up behind the mess we've left. Let's try to at least stop our old friends from hurting themselves.
Another question.
Yes?
Have you mentioned amethyst yet, or am I?
That's what I'm getting to.
Okay.
So they spent a few thousand years on Earth, cleaning up the mess, and eventually when they go to the kindergarten, which is what they call the mines where the gems are incubated, they come across one amethyst soldier who was defective, and because of this emerged way late from her incubation. Like she took 500 years longer to incubate than any other gem in her platoon. So she ended up just kind of on her own, lonely, playing with the rocks in the kindergarten and never really interacting with anybody until they find her, and Rose immediately pretty much adopts her like a daughter and takes care of her. And she joins them, but she never really learns much about gem culture because there's so much baggage with that. Like they do tell her the most important things about the rebellion and that the monsters used to be gems too and all this stuff, but she's out of the loop in a lot of ways too. So now the crystal gems have like a new member, and they settle down in a place by a cliff where they built like some humans, some of probably Rose's human affairs. It's never made clear she had a lot of human affairs. Built a temple there, which embodies like the crystal gems fused together into one big gem, and that's where they live. They use the temple as a beacon because they know that the gem monsters are drawn to the presence of other gems, and they use this beacon and just hope that like most of their former comrades will come to them so they can defeat them and put them in bubbles, which will keep them from ever hurting themselves or anyone else. Rose also tries to experiment with ways of possibly healing them. She never manages. And they eventually, like some humans, settle down on that cliff and found a town called Beach City. Even though the gems warn them, this place is a beacon for monsters. You are going to be in danger here. The humans still stay there because it's in America. That's pretty much it. And basically they spent the next few thousand years trying to avoid as many casualties as they can, because Rose really likes humans not that. And she likes hanging out with humans, and she likes having affairs with humans, which really enrages Pearl because she has, by this point, like she has a very strong affection. Like she's very much in love with Rose Quartz, but Rose is like, she always has a new affair every 100 years or so. So finally, we're almost in present day. Rose falls in love with another human. His name is Gregory DeMayo, like that's his real name, but he goes by the stage name of Greg Universe. And Greg Universe is a college dropout who ran away from home to become a rock star. And of course, being similar like that in personality, him and Rose immediately hit it off and decide to have a relationship with each other, which even causes Greg to toss out his rockstar plans and just stay in Beach City, work at a car wash, and just stay with this girl who he soon learns is an alien, but he's cool with that because he has a fascination with aliens anyway. The thing is, he soon realizes that Rose doesn't really treat him like an equal, and he soon realizes she kind of treats him like a pet. Because gems just don't see us humans as the same as themselves. And she starts to seriously get angry about it and yell at her about it. And this is the first time a human has dared to stand up to her. Probably the first time anyone has dared to stand up to her. And this impresses Rose so much that she decides, even though she has been on Earth for so many years, she has not learned enough. She doesn't understand anything. And she's still no bit better than her sisters. And she wants to learn more. She wants to learn what humans are like. She wants to learn what it's like to change, to grow up. And so she stays with Greg. She lets him teach all these things. She tries to understand what it is like to be like a human and decide what your own path in life is. And eventually, like, it's not made entirely clear like how she comes to this conclusion, but she decides to the conclusion that she wants to give birth to a human baby, but but not by just creating some kind of mannequin or anything, but she wants to become Greg's child. She wants to be raised by him and be half of his DNA and all this stuff. And she decides, we're going to have a child, but that child is going to be my reincarnation. I'm going to leave you all, but I want this. And of course, Pearl breaks down crying. Everyone is absolutely shocked and everything, but nobody can stop her from that, not even Greg. She just wants it. So she gives up her life and creates a baby that ends up being her own reincarnation, and that is Stephen. And that's where the show starts. Stephen spends the first 12 years of his life being raised by the Gems and by his father, with his father teaching him everything about being a human, and the Gems teaching him somewhat about being a Gem, but they are very cowed about it. Like, they hold back because there's so much baggage involved with it, and they don't know how much he can handle, and they don't understand what the human mind is like. And Stephen in the beginning doesn't understand anything. He grows up just thinking that the friends, like his aunties, like the friends of his mom, are superheroes, and he wants to be a cool superhero like them too. And he sees them fighting monsters, and he's a big fan of anime, manga, cartoons, video games. So he just sees it all like a big game, and he wants to be cool like them too. He wants to do cool things. He wants to summon his weapon and go out there and be amazing. But as the time goes on, he learns like that it's not quite like this. He learns that not only that his mother died to give up her life to give birth to him, and is something he never quite understands, but he also learns that the Gems are aliens, and the Gems tried to invade Earth, and that the other monsters are also Gems, and everything slowly trickles through. And the more Stephen learns, the more he becomes unsettled by his heritage, and the more it stops being fun to him. And you can see his character development like very rapid throughout the series. He starts at the age of 12. By now he's 14 and a half, and he starts out as a really cheerful, really happy child. But he very quickly goes to almost jaded, like scared whenever anything new is brought up. Like, the first big change comes when he discovers, like, Pearl gives him a mirror that she tells him it's just a tool that records all of Gem history, and he can ask the mirror about anything, but somehow the mirror doesn't function, and Pearl is very confused about that. Eventually, Stephen figures out what is going on. The mirror has a mind of its own, and he makes friends with the mirror by giving it phrases that it can repeat, so it can talk to him through things that it has heard him say. When the Gems find out that the mirror can think for itself, they want to take it and examine it, and Stephen just runs away with the mirror. He doesn't understand anything, realizes that there's a gem at the back of the mirror, like a gemstone. He rips off the gemstone and realizes that all the time the mirror was actually a broken gem who survived the war. And the other three never told him about it. And he doesn't understand why are they fighting this girl? Why doesn't she trust the Gems? He doesn't understand anything about why would Gems be fighting Gems. And this is the first time Stephen realizes something is not quite as rosy as he's always thought. So he learns that basically that the Gems are aliens, and this one Gem, Lapis Lazuli, was trapped in this mirror for 5,000 years. The Crystal Gems never tried to leave her out. The Crystal Gems thought she was brain dead. And they just decided, let's use that mirror because the gem is brain dead anyway. Let's use it as a tool. And like this, Lapis Lazuli is very traumatized. And as soon as Stephen heals her gem, because Stephen has healing powers, she just says goodbye and leaves for space and tries to get back to the gem planet. Next thing that happens, a gem called Peridot suddenly shows up at the Galaxy Warp, which used to be like a place where you could quickly travel from Earth to all different gem-controlled planets. And the crystal gems intentionally, of course, broke the warp. But suddenly, little tools show up that repair the Galaxy Warp, and they see a gem called Peridot coming there and doing a maintenance check. And Stephen just thinks, why is there another gem and why are they scared of her? The next thing we know, there's a message coming in from Lapis Lazuli, like that she's sending with a gem device. Stephen's father helps them decipher the message using his audio equipment. And she says, get away from there, they are coming, like Yellow Diamond is sending troops. And before they know it, like they try to prepare, but they can't, because in the last few thousand years gem weaponry has evolved so much that they have no idea what's going to happen. And finally, the Peridot, who came to do a maintenance check, arrives on Earth, and she comes with a huge hulking Jasper, which is a quartz gem, which is like several times as powerful as the amethyst they have, and the captures Lapis Lazuli, who has been interrogated to the point of having another nervous breakdown after she already suffered from PTSD from being trapped in the mirror. But the first thing that happens is that the Jasper is like, yeah, I see some gems here, they're not supposed to be here, let's blast them to oblivion, you have a cannon. Peridot used the cannon. Of course, Stephen doesn't let that happen and uses his powers, specifically the shield that he inherited from his mother, to protect them. The thing is, Pink Diamond never used her shield as Pink Diamond, because there was no expectation of her to go out on the battlefield. But she did use it a lot as Rose Quartz. So of course, Jasper, who was one of the Quartz soldiers who fought on the side of the Diamonds in the war, saw that shield before. So she immediately puts 2 and 2 together and concludes that Stephen is just Rose in disguise. So she takes all of the crystal gems, she destroys the physical form of everyone and knocks Stephen unconscious and puts them all on the ship and decides, let's go home and get a bountiful bounty from our diamonds for this. The thing is, they don't know that Stephen is half human. And the way the cells in, like a lot of gem technology works by disrupting the physical forms made of hard light, by basically causing them to glitch and dissipate. And of course that doesn't work on Stephen's body, because Stephen's body is physical and made of flesh and blood. So Stephen quickly manages to get out of a cell, and he uses his body to help like others out of their cells too. So they very quickly manage to hijack the ship, and in the process Stephen also learns about Garnet actually being a fusion of the love of Sapphire and Ruby, something he never knew before, which fascinates him because he really loves everything that's lovey-dovey. But this is also like the first time he really realizes how intimate fusion can really be. He has already fused before, like his best friend is also his love interest. It's a girl named Connie. And Stephen is the only gem with the ability to fuse with humans. Now, while we're here at this very pivotal point in the show, let's talk a little bit about Connie.